When I bet, I like getting something back, win or lose. That's why we're excited to announce our new partnership with Fanatics Sportsbook. It's the only sportsbook that gives you fan cash when you bet, win or lose. Use fan cash on all Knicks, NBA, or other fan gear, as well as bonus bets, collectibles, and more. It's the most rewarding place for fans to place their bets. Download the Fanatics Sportsbook app now and let the fan cash flow. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut residents call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts residents call 800-327-5050. New York residents call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland residents visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
What's good, ladies and gentlemen? If you can hear the sound of my voice, that means you are locked into Casual Friday on the Knicks Film School YouTube channel. I'm Jeff. That's Sean. You are amazing. We are here to talk about the New York Knicks, the week that was and the week that will be. And Sean, in a time where I thought it was going to be a little bit slower, not too much news, there's probably been too much news. If you were to call it news over the past week or so with regards to the Knicks and this Tom Thibodeau search. We're going to get into all of the hoopla, all of the possible scenarios and everything. But before we move on, you know what you got to do. Like this video, subscribe, share, tap in wherever you like to tap in and listen to Knicks content and share that joy with others, especially other Knicks fans that want to have these continuous conversations. Knicks fans who might not be aware, not even tapped into the YouTube ecosphere, let them know that the real is here. People who talk about this team, closest to the team, that have knowledge of this league, we here, and I think you'll enjoy yourself. So, Sean, how you feeling, man?
How do I feel, man? It has been, it never ends when it comes to the Knicks, right? Like I remember after game 6, I think it was Monday. That would have been the 2nd of June. Mm-hmm. I was telling my wife that I was like, now that, the season's over, there's more time for us to do things, whatever. Cause obviously, we don't have a draft pick, like we don't have a first round pick. Free agency is, it is whatever. What it is. It is what it is. Make some time. And 24 hours later, the New York Knicks said, no. Oh, you thought we were done? No, we're just getting started. Yeah, why would we do that? So I feel, on one hand, to echo what John and CP said on the crossover pod with Knicks Fan TV. And if you haven't checked it out, you absolutely should. It's good content to keep us going, but the discourse, like Benji said it on Twitter, he's like, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said that he thought that with Tibs being let go, that the discourse around him would finally die, but it's become instead it's become even worse, which I did not foresee. And the name of this show is Everybody Settle Down. I wanted to call it something else. I wanted to call it RELAX. Relax. Chill the F out. It is okay. I missed when they passed the law that required you to find a new coach within a week of firing the old one. Was there a constitutional amendment? Was there a constitutional convention? Was there an executive order? I must have been an executive order. Point me in the direction of that, because I must have missed that.
Yeah. There's so much to get into and so much to talk about the reporting. I mean, I guess the first question that I would ask is, what do you believe to be true? Because it fascinates me how folks can formulate their opinion on what's going on based on who's reporting they like.
Yes.
Similar to statistics, where stats can tell whatever story you want them to tell. They give you information. But if you want to tell a story, stats can tell whatever story you want to tell. Now, that doesn't mean that stats are junk or advanced analytics isn't reliable or useful. I'm just saying, if you want to cherry pick certain things, if you want to highlight without context, you could have stats say whatever. This is how I feel about the reporting that's been going on and just how we've distilled this reporting into what can we conclude from everything that we've been hearing. Some of the conclusions, I'm having a hard time logically seeing how people made the jump without some type of preconceived notion that's informing how they come to their conclusions.
So I think what you said, what you said at the end hit the nail on the head. It's like it's preconceived notions. To your point, one, numbers, people like to say men lie, women lie, numbers don't. But to your point, I can get numbers to tell any story I want to, right?
The numbers may not lie, but you may be telling a different story than what the numbers are actually saying.
Yes. And to your point, people have their preconceived notions. People have PTSD. People have Stockholm syndrome. Some people also have, they're overly optimistic and they feel that, they feel like everything's going to work out. As always, the truth is somewhere in the middle. I think there's the way it's being reported, the way it's being covered, and the way it's being analyzed and consumed by the fan base, right? So the way that it's being reported, and why I say reporting, I mean when an insider of some sort, whether it's Shams or Mark Stein or whoever, is saying like, okay, I heard that this happened, right? And for the most part, the reporting has been fine. The way it's being covered is nasty. And you can tell who has the agendas, who have narratives they want to push, who have had LOL Knicks in their tweets in their drafts for 4 years that they've been waiting to get off. And it's disingenuous. Like, I've never ever seen a coaching search covered this way. And the Knicks are not the first team to fire their coach after making the conference finals, or fire a coach after a good season or a 50-win season. I remember those searches. I did not see it covered in this way. Like, the way, even there was like a Rachel Nichols post, and she was like, how, like, well, it's clear that Dolan was involved. And I was like, why wouldn't like, if I'm going to fire my head coach, which requires you, the owner, to eat $30 million, that's a conversation that we should have. That's a normal conversation. But we're so petrified. We are scared, list of Dolan doing Dolan things, even though Dolan has not been involved in a basketball-related decision on the court since, like,
5 years.
The Bargnani deal. Like, he has been apt to hire someone to get out the way, right? So the way it's just being covered is just, you can tell the people have, like you said, preconceived notions. And then the way it's being consumed by the fan base, it's like people are spiraling, man. Like, it's crazy. And like, I like especially by the Tibs truthers, because they are still in the anger stage of grief. They're in anger, and they're still, many of them are still in the anger stage. Like, I've seen, when they posted a clip of us from the last Casual Friday, and I was talking about like why. And the funny thing is, like, why I thought Tibs should go, and some of the comments are just like, we got to the first ECF in 25 years. You guys are ungrateful. Wait till we go back to 45 wins. I was like, y'all motherfuckers said the same thing after we signed Brunson. Y'all said the same thing after Julius was traded. Y'all said the same thing after, like, it was like, yo, some of y'all is just waiting. You're just waiting to go back to the projects. And I'm like, honestly, if you want to go back to the projects, you go there. I'm staying here. I'm trying to get to the east side, the deluxe apartment in the sky, right? And if I don't think my coach can take us there, why would I not try to find someone who can? Like, I say this all the time. I've seen my team play in the conference finals, Eastern Conference Finals. I've seen my team win the Eastern Conference. I've seen my team in the NBA Finals. I've seen my team win finals games. I've seen my team be one win away from the championship, one half away, one quarter away, one shot away. Why should I be content with just getting to the conference finals? I want better for all of you. Stop letting the national media gaslight you, because that's what they're doing. They're gaslighting you. They're spinning this in a manner which I have never seen spun before. No one said the Lakers didn't have a plan when they spent weeks chasing after Dan Hurley and end up with JJ Redick. I didn't hear that last year. Did I hear that? No. Like, settle down, relax, chill, smoke a spliff, have a drink, do something.
So shout out to your bro and mine, my guy Chris, who we've been talking about the Knicks all season. And this isn't the amorphous Knicks fans that some national media guys talk about when they say the Knicks fans in my life. These are actually real Knicks fans, right? This isn't just somebody to further an agenda. So me and him been talking about the Knicks. We've been talking about the Knicks for years, but we were talking, and he saw your point, and this is gonna be a test if you be watching our stuff, right? He saw your post and he was like, man, I didn't get a chance to watch the pod yet, but I really hope that you had a counter for this. And I said, well, you probably don't want to talk to me then, because me and him are kind of aligned, and me and him got into a conversation. We got into I'm not gonna call it back forth. We had a conversation, and I from his point of view, I understood that the results mattered more, in my opinion, than the process to get there. And I told him straight up, at what point I was like, yo, fam, I've literally been arguing this the whole week. I love you. And I probably didn't say the text, but he know I love him. But I was like, yo, I can't continue to have this conversation. I was like, yo, watch the pod, hear the conversation, hear the nuanced discussion. And then if there's a sticking point, please come back and let's have this conversation, right? Because I understood that there are people that are firmly entrenched in the idea of Tom Thibodeau being this infallible safety net that will protect the Knicks from falling back into the LOL era, from falling back into chaos, from becoming a destabilized organization. I understand that. And this is part of that past Knicks fan trauma that creeps up in you. You could say, hey, he was winning. We had a good thing going. Why would you get rid of him? All the points that we've heard. And I understand that. If you want to say, yo, I think they should have given him at least one more year, we can have that conversation. That's fair. And I think that's something that at least me and you have been extremely fair about. I went as far as to say that I agreed with Begley. Begley said if they win a title, eventually if the Knicks win a title, Tibs should be on the short list of people who may not have been involved when they win it, but should still never pay for another meal or drink in the city again. Mm-hmm. I went further and said, regardless, he should never pay for a drink in the city ever again, because he brought the Knicks back to relevance and he brought them back to stability. He was one of the key cogs in that. I think we've been fair. I also don't believe you should operate from a position of fear when you're trying to succeed in anything. Unless the fear is a way to motivate you to make the best decisions, you should not generally operate from the fear of failure, of the fear of the unknown. You shouldn't operate that way, because it'll cause you to either make the wrong decision or to settle for something that isn't ultimately going to bring you to where you want to go. And there's one thing that he said that stuck with me when we were talking. He was like, I feel like the Knicks are being greedy right now. And I sat with it for a second. And I was like, greedy. To me, it would have been greedy if they made it to the finals and fired him. Even if with everything that we've said throughout the years, all the evidence that we pointed to say that the process wasn't working, despite the results, the process would not ultimately lead them to a championship. Mm-hmm. I would have said, yeah, they probably are wilding. You make it to the finals, that should buy you another year to try to make things right. That's how I feel. But I don't know if it's necessarily greedy. To me, shoot, if you want to talk about stuff that's more egregious, firing your coach before you enter the playoffs, I'm sorry, you're wilding. You're wilding. You fire the coach and the GM before the playoffs start when you're guaranteed to make it and you're one of the top seeds. That to me would have brought fire and brimstone down on the 5 boroughs if the Knicks did that. But it's not even that move isn't even being covered with the amount of scrutiny as this coaching hire. Like, even to the point where people are like, well, they couldn't play well together. So the owner just came in and said, both of y'all are gone. Que sera. But this is the one that gets all of that concern. I don't know, man. I've been here long enough. I've been in the media long enough. I've been in this apparatus long enough to know what gets the people going. And despite what anybody tries to tell you, Knickerbocker content, it gets the people going. It gets the engagement flowing. Knicks for Clicks is not a figment of Knicks fans' imagination. It's a real thing. And I'm telling you that as somebody who's involved in the media and who knows. This is like firsthand account. This is like firsthand account that it is what it is. Look at all the news stories. We're game 4 of the NBA Finals is tonight. We're talking about this, right? So when they try to tell you that the Knicks don't move the needle, it's just factually incorrect. When you're done, I want to go to a comment because it's one of the crux of the issues that I have.
When the Nuggets fired Michael Malone, to your point, a week before the playoffs, no one said the Nuggets don't have a plan. When the Grizzlies fired Taylor Jenkins weeks before, I think 2 weeks before the playoffs, no one said the Grizzlies didn't have a plan. When the Kings fired Mike Brown in the middle of the season out of left field to make Doug Christie the coach, no one said the Kings don't have a plan. Why is it now that the Knicks don't have a plan? Why?
Because it's the Knicks.
Why? I mean, that's like, it has to be.
Well, you know what they'll say? They'll say because the assistants were there and the assistants took over the team. So they pretty much were on the job interviewing for the next role. So the clear plan is, well, you get rid of your GM and your coach. The assistant is there. Maybe ownership is going to make that decision to make the interim coach the full-time coach, which we saw in Memphis and in Denver. My pushback would have been, well, is the owner going to make that or is the new GM going to make that? But that's the pushback that you're going to get, is people are going to say because there were interim coaches established, that would be the clear plan A, would be to hire that coach.
I just think that if the Knicks had hired somebody 48 hours later, the coverage would have been, this is nasty, which you had a guy the whole time and you interviewed him and you were interviewing coaches behind your back. Like, should the Knicks have kept Tom Thibodeau and be like, okay, we're going to fire Tom Thibodeau, but we're going to interview people and just have him just twisting in the wind? It's like, no. Like, basically, my thing is, people are saying they do not have a plan simply because they do not have a coach right now. And because they are replacing a coach that took them to the conference finals. Like, that's why you're saying this. That's the only reason you're saying this. And again, if they had a coach 48 hours later, the discourse would have been positive. It would have been like, yo, what are these guys doing? Like, I'll say this, then we'll get to the comment. I understand LOL Knicks. I understand. Listen, no one has to tell me or Jeff where the Knicks have came from, right? And how much of their reputation has been self-inflicted. However, this administration should earn the benefit of the doubt from every single fan, because when have you ever seen them operate without a plan? When? Give me an example. I remember, you know what's funny? I remember being told in 2021 and 2022, the Knicks have no plan and no direction. Remember they have no plan, no direction. And what it wasn't that they didn't have a plan or direction, is that they had a plan and they had a direction. You just didn't like it because you wanted them to tank, or you wanted them to sign said player, or you wanted them to trade for this guy. But they went about things. This franchise under Leon Rose has gone about things in an unorthodox manner that we're used to, and our brains can't compute it. Shout out to young Uncle Phil, who says it all the time. Like, the Knicks are breaking people's brains, because people cannot comprehend the things that they do, how they go about it, and why they go about it.
I agree. Let's get to this comment from Zach Rosenberg. Regardless of who made the call, what's clear is there's no plan. That's the only thing that bothers me. I'm going to ask you this, Zach. Yeah, first of all, shout out to Zach. Secondly, I'm going to ask Zach the same question I ask everybody, people who've come into my mentions, in real life, online, whatever. How do you know for sure? How are you concluding that they do not have a plan? Is it that they don't have a plan, or they don't have a plan that you like? What is the call? It's, you know what it is, Sean? And it's similar to pro wrestling. It's similar to any type of story-driven vehicle, especially pro wrestling, because wrestling Twitter is a cesspool. It's only second or third to Star Wars fans as being the most horrible fans on the internet at times. Just because a storyteller chooses a plot direction that you wouldn't have chose doesn't mean their plot direction or the story they want to tell is bad. It just means it's different from yours. Now, could that story direction be bad, irrespective of whether or not you would have went a different way? Sure. But just because they chose to go way A and you wanted them to go this way, or wanted this character or this wrestler to go over, or this plot point to be highlighted, it doesn't make it whack. It doesn't make it bad. And it doesn't make it a plot hole. One of the most overused phrases on the internet. In the same way, just because you don't like what they're doing, it doesn't make it that they're moving rudderless or without a plan. This is where, to me, the fascinating aspect of media comes into play, where folks who are supposed to be knowledgeable, who allegedly do their buzzword of the day, due diligence, who are able to aggregate information in order to distill it in something that's supposed to be facts. Because a reporter, and that's the problem, reporters aren't telling you this. It is folks that are media, which is different. They don't have a journalistic responsibility to just give you the facts and then you decide from there. It's editorialized, which is why you have a lot of folks that are saying, oh, it's got to be Dolan. Dolan is involved. This wasn't a Rose move. It's clear that they don't have a plan. Like, the fact that that's a matter of opinion, that's not a matter of fact. Sean, we've worked for corporate entities. We've throughout the course of our career, we've worked for people other than ourselves throughout the course of our career. When have you known a company to remove someone from a position and they hire somebody within 24 hours? Or even better, when have you known a corporation to hold on to somebody with the intention of firing them and only firing them once they know they have the replacement? It's close to never.
It doesn't happen.
It's close to never. So why is this such a foreign concept? Why is it such a foreign concept to interview coaches that already have jobs when this isn't the first time? This isn't something that's going on. Yeah, they casted a wide net, and here's another aspect of media versus what it is. Damn, the Knicks are getting rejected. Yes, but by who, guys? They're getting rejected by the teams, not the coaches. Out of all of this conversation about the coaches, Billy Donovan, Chris Finch, Ime Udoka, Kidd,
Quinn Snyder.
Reporting has only come out that Ime, out of all of them, said, I'm not really interested. You haven't heard reporting that the other four, to this point, if somebody has an article or whatever, I could be wrong. Mm-hmm. That's another thing. It's fine to say you could be wrong, guys. It's fine to say that. I could be wrong. From the reporting I've seen, no one else has stated that the coaches have said, I'm good. I wouldn't be interested. Out of all of them, I'd probably say Chris Finch would be the other one to say, I'm good. Because if I was Chris Finch, I'd probably say I'm good. Because you're trading one struggle for the remix of your struggle, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You got the same struggle. So do you want to struggle like that in New York? And when it's struggle, I mean is the same complications and flaws and stuff like that, upside, questions with the roster, blah, 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 blah. You're kind of trading one for the other. It's just, do you want the Knicks job? So the rejection angle needs nuance and context because it's from the angle of the teams, not necessarily the coaches. And this is where I say it's just so fascinating. And it goes to a much larger conversation about media literacy and how we distill information and all of that. But it's just, I think this goes back to my original point that folks at this point want to hear what they want to hear. Ian Begley, who's been the man when it comes to information about the Knicks, who pretty much told us that there's a good chance Tibs wasn't coming back. With Zach Lowe, if you listen you hear something. You hear something important. And this man pretty much said that if Leon Rose was forced, if it was a mandate to get rid of Tibs, Leon would have been right after him and submitted his resignation. You know what I'm saying? My guy, shout out to Vinny Goodwill. He reported in Yahoo that this decision was spearheaded by Dolan. And I thought you, Sean, had a great response to that, where you said spearheading and mandating are two different things. And I'll let you rock with that for those who didn't hear what you said.
No, I mean, yes, like spearheading is like, hey, I have an idea. Or like, again, it is not out of the ordinary for the owner to go to his president of basketball operations and say like, hey, I don't think this guy is the guy. But we're so afraid of Dolan touching anything that we hear this and we're like, oh, Dolan's in charge. He's like, no, like that's just not true. Like if you're going to keep like, man, listen, and maybe you have to tell yourself that to sleep at night, but that's not true. In fact, when I saw from what I read about the process that was reported, it seemed as if Dolan had a conversation with Leon, and Leon was like, you know what? Let's talk to the players and see how they feel. And they spoke to the players, and the players gave their opinion, and then Dolan was like, all right, if you want to fire him, go ahead. And Leon did. Simple as that. Why would it be like, guys, that's how normal basketball teams operate. This is not out of the this is not some wild it's not we just have to be better, man. And again, I understand, I get it, I understand, but we're smarter than this. We are smarter than
should be better than this. Should be better than this. Should be better. And once again, I totally understand. This is the point of society where we've had the most information to consume as humanity all at once at the same time. It's difficult. So you go to trusted sources. And for a lot of people who are, especially non-Knicks fans, those trusted sources are going to be national media. So if they tell you what it is, you like, well, they're getting their information from people. They're having this discussion. So I'm going to rock with them. I think it does a disservice to the customer and to the game when talking heads won't do a certain level of their own research into local beat reporters and what they're saying and what the vibe is, just to see if there's any discord between what they may feel is going on, what they heard is going on, and what the people who are closest to the action are saying. And as somebody who is a TV personality, I totally get it. You walk in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, getting ready for your show, and they say, yo, these are the topics. You have a limited time to get this information ready. Maybe, you got a great producer. They hit you the night before, like, yo, we talking about this, we're talking about that. So figure out what you need to figure out. So a lot of times when you get these perspectives, they are limited due to time crunches. And, that's why shows like Get Up are so fortunate to have Alan Hahn, Monica McNutt on the roster, because they can get the pulse of the Knicks from the people who are around them the most. Everybody else, it's either going off of vibes or going off of what you feel and what your immediate analysis based off of what you know, what trends have been and whatnot. I just think if you're going to definitively say or put your words to wax to say something, either own up when it comes out that you were wrong, or you should just have that greater responsibility in mind with the power of your voice. You just have to have that, man. And this is to say, I'll be the first one to be like, yo, nobody really knows anything going on. Not 100%. You're getting this from secondhand, third hand. I thought the narrative was hilarious when folks are like, the Knicks are putting out in the media that this is a due diligence. So it's kind of like you're running PR through the media to say, yo, we do have a plan. We're just doing our due diligence. But you don't keep the same energy for the initial information coming out that may be framing it another way. And I'll be the first one to tell y'all straight up. If I thought that was the case, I probably have more information than what y'all think. But if I thought that was the case, I keep it real. We, especially us in this Knicks content creator community and people who know people who know people who know people, this is not a sudden move.
No.
It's been reported in the playoffs. Shout out CP. He's the one who said Tibs was on thin ice. Boston was pretty much a series for his job.
Yep.
And the worst possible scenario happened. He won the series for his job, and they got put into a different situation with elevated stakes where certain mistakes were under the microscope even more than just having to take down the defending champs. The stakes raised. The moment was more important. There was way more on the line. And what happened. This isn't something that just they popped up on one day and said, yo, let's do it. This is something that's occurring from time to time. And I'll reiterate, I think it's rich that some of the same talking heads who have been at times massively unfairly criticizing Tibs about certain things, the things that he gets criticized for all the time, rotation, playing people too many minutes, rigidity, all of this. You find out those were the reasons or part of the reasons why he got let go. And now it's a travesty. It's like, how are you telling us the directions to go to the road? And when we get to the destination, you tell us you ask why we went there. Why'd you go to that store? I told you to go down this road. I gave you the directions, but you actually went to the store? You own the store. Like, what are we talking about here?
I think that's a perfect segue to the super chat from Busy. Busy, thank you for your generous contribution. National media just mad. New York Knicks front office don't want to speak to them, so they just want to pile on to see if they can get them to break. I said something to this effect. I said, there's a lot of media people like we as Knicks fans do not give a rat's about Leon Rose not speaking to the media for the most part. Obviously, there's some fans that do, but for the most part, we don't. And the way many of them have covered the situation is why we don't care. This is why we don't care, because if Leon gave you the interviews, you still cover this in the same way, which is disingenuous and looking for laughs and using this for engagement, for likes, retweets, whatever. Saying that what not having a plan looks like? Not having a plan is signing 4 power forwards after you don't get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
God.
Not having a plan is waiting until game 100 to change your starting lineup because you don't know what to do. That's not having a plan. There's no other coaches. There's no other coaching vacancies. And I heard got to have a coach in place for the draft. You mean the draft where the Knicks' first pick is 50? I think Walt Perrin will be able to figure out who to draft at 50 without a head coach.
Right.
Right.
If there's going to be trades and they're going to be involved in trades, and I can understand having a coach in place on draft night, I would be shocked if the Knicks were involved in anything consequential on draft night other than drafting somebody from Europe who we've never heard of that's going to be stashed like Rokas.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, Sean. I'm not telling people to operate without skepticism, because doing that would be an exercise in foolishness. You should be skeptical. You should ask questions. But the thing is, when you get the answers, you could not like it, but don't try to make it seem like some reporting is cap and some reporting is facts based on whether or not you like it. Now, if you see obvious holes, for example, there's been reports that the Knicks are a major player in Kevin Durant sweepstakes. Then reporting comes out, nah, they really not. That's the type where it's like, to me, you have extreme skepticism, because you get one side that's saying, oh, he's a top option for the Knicks, and the other side saying, yeah, I'd be surprised if that goes down. Once again, the beat reporters who are telling me they'd be shocked, I lean more towards them than anybody else, especially national media, because this is their concentration. They're the subject matter experts. Doesn't make them infallible, but it does make them reliable. Now, think about every report that we've heard. You correct me if I'm wrong, Sean. I don't think any report has said Dolan fired Tibs. That the Tibs termination was something other than from the front office, from the president, GM, all of them. That this was a decision over their heads. Like we have accurately heard about tons of other decisions involving the Knicks. Oh, the most that we've heard is he was in the meetings, he was asking questions, he spearheaded the discussions, that ultimately led to firing Tibs. And we also heard that if Leon is forced to do anything he don't want to do, he's out. Leon is still the president of the Knicks. I think you're on mute, brother. Leon is still the president of the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
Thibodeau's not here. 2 + 2 doesn't equal avocado. That's all I'm saying. You do the math. It does not come out to aardvark. So, and this is his mans. That's the other part. This is Leon Rose's mans.
Yep.
We would have to be talking about Game of Thrones level deception for it to go down that way. And folks like, yo, I like it. We got something good here. I'm gonna let the owner do his thing. I don't think that. We also have words from the owner himself, who pretty much was like, yo, I ain't trying to get this smoke no more. Y'all tell me what I gotta do, and I'm gonna do it. But I also understand if you're telling me your decision is gonna cost me $30 million, actually $30 million plus, because I'm gonna have to have 2 people on the payroll and only one of them is gonna be working for me. Yeah, I'm gonna say, yo, is this really necessary? Y'all gotta show me that it's necessary. All right, I'm gonna be in the exit meetings. I'm gonna ask some questions because I need to know. Then it was evaluated and he was gone. Like, this is where I'm telling y'all, if you want to take all the reporting and put it on the table and then tell me, what do you conclude based on everything that we have? How do you get to they don't have a plan? I'm sorry. If you're on the hot seat, at least this front office has shown they have a contingency plan and other plans in case stuff don't go his way. Think about the last 2 players, Quickly and Randall, who were extension eligible. They were not extended, and then they were subsequently traded. That sounds like a plan to me. If we can't extend you, we're going to trade you. That's a plan. So logically, if he was on the hot seat in the playoffs, how are they not thinking, okay, well, what are we going to do? All right, yo, let's see. Let's come up with some candidates that already got a job. Let's see if we could poach them. Okay, no. All right, now we'll go the regular route. Mm-hmm. But you got to shoot your shot. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And guess what, guys? I haven't gotten a job where I wasn't poached. My first job, probably. They poached me from unemployment because I wasn't working. Right? Every other job I've had since then, I've gotten poached. If you were working and you got a new job while you were currently working, you were poached. You cheated on your old job with your new job and left your old job for your new job because you believe in polygamy. And you wanted to go on and make that move. You were poached. This happens every day in every other industry. And guess what? It happens here too. Y'all must not watch college or know what the hell's going on in college sports. That's like...
They're going to say college is different. I'm telling you right now.
Of course they're going to say that. But I don't know, man. Like, this is why I say we can be upset at a move without trying to twist information to justify our anger.
You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie. Like,
at all.
Like, it's what I don't understand is, well, I mean, I understand, but like the whole Dolan of it all is like, there's a difference between wanting someone fired and firing somebody. Listen, if Dolan didn't make Leon fire Tibs during the thumbs down season where they lost 17 of 20 games and won 1 game in the month of February, if he didn't make Leon fire him then, why would he make him do it now? Like, why? Why? And again, there's a difference between wanting somebody gone and actually doing it. Like, there is nothing wrong with an owner saying, you know what, I don't think this guy might be the guy. And guess what? They went to the players, and the players were like, well, and they aired their grievances, and they're like, all right.
Top players, by the way.
Top players.
Quote unquote, top players. So that was enough bail shooting to let you know, like, if we're going to talk about interpreting news, what does top players mean to you? Who do you think those players were, Sean?
I tell you one thing, it wasn't DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet. It wasn't Ariel Huck-Porty, even though the whole Dolan went in the locker room and said hi, good game to Huck-Porty. It's like the Zapruder film. Listen, at the end of the day, again, don't let the media gaslight you. Listen, if you're a Tibs supporter, I understand you're going through it, but that doesn't mean that this front office, who, not they've gotten everything right, but this front office never played fast and loose. They've never fly. They don't fly by the seat of their pants. Everything they do is meticulous. Everything. So why do we think now all of a sudden they stopped? That's all. We have another super chat if you want to read it real quick.
Yeah, I got it. Mensa, you two. What up, Mensa? What's going on, brother? Happy Friday. You two are saying all the things I'm getting cooked on Twitter for believing. Shout out to context. I don't know. You had a couple that you might have stand on your own with that, brother. But if the general context is that, then yes, I hold the torch with you. But I don't know. There was a couple of things you said where I was like, boy, you jumping out the window without a parachute.
But listen, at the end of the day, like, it's okay. Like, it is okay to believe. Listen, you believe what you want.
At the end of the day.
So if you believe that, listen, and I know, nuance and context do exist on the internet. So I understand that. But just if you look at the reporting and you look at what you know, be careful with what you're filling the blanks with. Be careful. That's all I'm gonna say is be careful.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying, man. Like, and damn, I had a point, but it is whatever. It'll come back to me. I just feel like, oh, there it is. This move isn't without risk, y'all. And I don't want anybody to think that we're just vibing out on what's happening without thinking about the consequences. You're bringing in an unknown variable. Even if they're a known commodity, they immediately become an unknown variable once they're brought into a new environment. In other words, we don't know how they're going to fare. There's a chance it doesn't work. There's a chance. And this is the risk that the front office is taking. I just find it peculiar that folks who have been rallying about this front office for the last few years, press conferences, Leon got this, his hit rate is in the 90th percentile. We good to go. This is the move. I've seen what y'all said about that man. I feel like we were more celebratory of Tibs than a lot of folks who was on the internet and in real life crucifying this dude. Like, and that's where I'm like, am I going crazy? Am I the one that's wilding right now? I know I'm not. You know what? To me, there was an equal chance of failure if you remove Tibs or if you kept him. I feel like you can argue that the chances of failure with removal versus keeping him, they're comparable. At best, they're comparable. And I'm going to tell you why they're comparable. There was a very good chance that we would be sitting here June 13th, 2026, with the Knicks not having made it to the conference finals, not having made it to the finals. And this is where, as a fan base, F media, F all of that. Let's talk as fans. Mm-hmm. I want y'all to look me dead in the eyes and tell me you had confidence that anything that we have been complaining about adjustment-wise was going to be corrected over the next 365 days. That rotations were going to shift, that adjustments were going to be made early and often, that there was going to be a level of creativity, that complex strategies would not be implemented in game 95 of the playoffs, and instead be executed throughout the regular season. That a bench was going to be utilized so that we could see who could possibly contribute in April and in May and in June. I want y'all this is just us. I'm on Casual Fridays talking like it's you and me. It's us. Keep it real with me. Do you think the same issues that people had would have been rectified with a year of training camp and another year of basketball? If you truly believe that he was going to become more adaptable and flexible and not be as rigid, you got it. I'm not going to argue, because that is more faith-based, in my opinion, because we have years of evidence where this situation has reared its ugly head over and over and over again. This Deuce conversation that we had was the Quickly conversation.
Yes.
A couple of years ago. Remember begging for Elfrid Payton to stop starting? Do y'all remember? Is this a Mandela effect? This is all I'm saying. And yes, every coach has their faults. Tibbs had his faults. He also was stable. You knew you was guaranteed to get up and get into the playoffs, get into the playoffs, be top 6, be competitive, play every regular season game like it was game 7, win as many games as possible, get into the playoffs, have better cardio than everyone, and brute force your way to whatever level of success. That was a known quantity. Guess what? There was once upon a time where if the Knicks didn't wake up out of bed and go to the semifinals, it was seen as a failure because a standard was already set. And they were already looking for ways in which to overcome that floor that they set for themselves to ultimately reach where they wanted to reach. If y'all tell me that y'all feel like he would have been able to break through that ceiling by adjusting on the margins, because at this point with the second apron and all that, you got to adjust on the margins. You have to find somebody in their first or second year that's going to contribute, especially with the way the salaries are tied up. If you are telling me that you believe he would have did that, then I understand why you're pissed. I think I have the burden of history on my side that says that otherwise wasn't going to happen. So if you believe that is what held your team back, then the logical conclusion is to make a move now before we're back here June 13th, 2026, saying, you know what the conversation would be? Damn, did they wait too long? Did they waste another year of Jalen Brunson's prime? The year core is a year older. Now they're probably going to have to make a move to get younger or swing one more time because who knows? Who knows? And that's the base. Who knows? But people are acting like they know.
There is like you said, there is an argument to keep Tom Thibodeau. And I wouldn't necessarily disagree, but there's an argument to get rid of Tom Thibodeau. And we have to acknowledge both those arguments. And guess what? Keeping Tom Thibodeau was the easy decision. That was easy. This is the hard decision. This was the hard decision to make. And I appreciate that the front office and the president of basketball operations have the stones to make moves like this. Because one thing this front office does not do, and you alluded to this earlier about operating out of fear. They do not operate out of fear because fear will always do the work of reason.
1000%. Do we have any more?
We got one more super chat. This is from Mr. McBagels. Yep. What?
Can we go off that? I want to get to one comment before we close with Mr. McBagels.
Okay.
I just want to get to something real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh boy, G. The idea that if the Knicks don't make to the finals next year is a failure is stupid. Then the same should apply to OKC and Indiana. Oh boy, G, I want you to hit up Thunder fans and Pacers fans right now. Whoever loses the finals, I want you to hit up those fans and ask them if they make it to the conference semifinals next year, is their season a failure? If you get a majority, yes, I got $5 for you, bro. Real fans, not bots. Real fans of teams. If your team makes it to the finals of whatever league competition is, where else is there to go? What else dictates a successful season?
Mm-hmm.
What, if you go to the finals and win one more game? Guess what? If the Pacers lose 4-3, what is the only way they can have a successful season next year? If they win one more game in the finals. If they win one more game in the finals, guess what? They win the finals. Like, what are we talking about here? Of course it's a failure. I bet you talk to Starks and Ewing about the 95 season. Did they see the 95 season after they went to the finals in 94 and pretty much had an open lane to the finals again? Yeah, Shaq and them would have been tough. That would have been a tough series. I don't know if they make it out, but they should have made it at least back to the conference finals. They lost in game 7 of the semis. I bet you they will say that season was a failure. What are we doing here? For real?
It is, like I said, but still in the anger stage of grief. And then from Mr. McBagels, and thank you for your generous contribution. To be honest, no coach wants the negative attention that comes from being poached. What's your opinion on the new name surface? Brown, Woodson. Thanks, Jeff and Sean. Thank you. Thank you for watching.
Senor McBagels.
Yes. Mike Brown, I'm actually coming around on, although I find the discourse hilarious that he needs a defensive coordinator, because I'm like, Mike Brown was a defensive coach. Like, I don't know when Mike Brown became freaking Mike Martz or Mike D'Antoni, right? Woodson, so Ian brought up Woodson on the pod with John, and I was like, you know what? It's not terrible, because he's coached here before. He's been head coach. He was the coach of the last good Knicks team before the current administration. My biggest fear of the Mike Woodson my biggest gripe of the Mike Woodson era is that, like,
we running double bigs. We might run triple bigs.
we ran an offense that benefit everyone, and then next season we went back to Carmelo Anthony bully ball, dribble, and proceed to win 37 games. So would he allow the offense to be, would he allow his stars to dictate the offense? Other than that, I'm not like, it's not my, listen, if you've been following me, the guy was Terry Stotts. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm going to keep banging the drum. If not, at least as an assistant coach, like, especially they hired Johnny Bryan will be assistant coach, but those are my thoughts on those names. What about you, Jeff?
I'd love to see Woody back on the staff. I feel like going back to Woodson, and Woody's just in a nasty position, right? He's just in a nasty position with coming back. Like, I've seen retreats with teams going back to their old coaches. So once again, that is not out of the ordinary, guys. For that to happen, it happens in all walks of sports. Every sport it happens, where teams will go back to their old manager. I don't know. It seems a little uninspired to me. Even though it would be good PR, like, hey, he's getting another chance. He was successful when he was here. He's getting another chance. Mm-hmm. I'd love to see him back on the staff. I think there's nothing negative about having Mike Woodson involved in your coaching staff. Mike Brown, from the research I've done and I've seen smarter people than me when it comes to this X's and O's things talk about, and even from watching him coach, especially what he did in Sacramento, you want to talk about coaches who got a raw deal and could use a second chance, right? If offensive dynamics is your main concern, don't think you could go wrong with Mike Brown. Don't think you could go wrong with Taylor Jenkins. It's the X factors around them where you have to make the consideration. Taylor Jenkins, they saying that he lost the locker room. But on the other hand, he was willing to bring in an offensive coordinator when the front office wanted him to. So
the front office said, "This is your offensive coordinator now,"
right?
And he was like, "Okay."
He's like, "All right, cool." Right? Mike Brown. There was some weird thing with Keon Ellis where he wasn't playing Keon Ellis towards the end, and Keon Ellis is a contributing factor. So that could be in the back of my mind as boding bad for utilizing bench players who might need specific time. If you fall out of favor with him, you're not going to get no run or whatever the case may be. So, but I don't know if that was just an isolated incident or part of his coaching ethos. But at the same time, this man has coached LeBron teams. He's coached in LA. He's coached with the Warriors, right or wrong. He was on the Warriors.
He was assistant,
assistant coach. Yeah. He's a head coach in LA, head coach for Bron, and believe in Cleveland. Was on the staff with Steve Kerr and them in Golden State. So he has a lot of bona fides. I just think whatever next coaching staff has to be a committee that's open to listening, adapting, and evolving. Like, I know Mike Brown, if he's hired, is going to hire the best around him. And so, to Sean's point, you get Terry Stotts as the associate coach, and Sean is in Nirvana right now, right? Because you wanted that guy. But I think you get the right guys around you, and you got something there. I don't think, from the names that I've heard, there aren't really any horrible choices. But I would say a guy like Mike Malone, I just feel like if you were going to fire Tibbs, you don't hire Mike Malone. It's guys cut from the same cloth, same type of belief system and all of that. No matter what, like I've been saying, Malone is Tibbs with a BBL. You might get some enhancements here and there, but it's the same type of dude. It's the same dude, no matter what the enhancements they get, right? So, yeah, I mean, at this point, bro, and thank you, Mr. McBagels, I'm type ready for it to be over already, because I've once declared that the Knicks for Clicks era was buried and long gone. I did not know he has risen. After this talk, he has risen, bro. He has risen. The third day of the Tibs news, boy, Knicks for Clicks has risen from it's like Undertaker. The streak has not ended. I thought the streak was over. The streak has not ended. So it's just getting this. I feel like it's starting to come around now a little bit more, but it's just the discourse is exhausting, especially with the fan bases. Like, it ain't even fun to watch the discourse. It's just getting really corny, man. And I hope they make the right decision. I don't care what the decision is. I just hope they make the right one.
Yeah. From your lips to God's ears. So, all right. With that, let's wrap up. I'll just say this again. Don't say the Knicks don't have a plan. The Knicks have a plan. They're literally executing the plan right in front of you. And again, if you're still if you're still grieving that Tibbs is gone, I understand. You can grieve. Just at some point, make sure you get to acceptance, because guess what? He's no longer the coach. We have to accept it. Simple as that.
And shout out to Nostalgic Nick. Said the Tibbs ad in the newspaper made supporters lose it. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I read that and I was like, oh, they going up. I was like, yo, folks is gonna go up. And bro, I read that. I was sad as hell. I said it the day he was fired. I was sad as hell because I really wanted him to win here. And super class act. I do not believe that's you on Twitter, Tibbs. I do not believe that account is you. You're gonna have to give us voice ID, video ID verification, like the Reddit AMAs. You have to hold up a paper and point to it and do all of that. I do not believe it's you, but it's just the lasting legacy of his class act all the way and about winning and about the fans. So I totally, once I saw that, I was like, man, this is gonna stoke the flames even more. But I respect him for it and I got love for him. So I totally get it. Like, if that was your guy, I totally get it.
Another super chat from Chris L. I trust Leon in the search, but can we hear your takes on Tibs earning one more shot? I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you too. How do you feel about Tibs earning one more shot, Jeff? I'm assuming I'm assuming he means either here
get another job
or another team. Yeah. So what say you?
I saw a tweet where a Sixers fan said, man, they need to fire Nick Nurse and hire Tibs ASAP. And somebody replied, you must want Embiid's knees to turn into dust. And they retorted, we already on that path, brother. We might as well get the most that we can get in the shortest amount of time. Look, if I'm Washington, if I'm Charlotte, if I'm any of these teams that's been middling for a minute, I'm looking that man's way. If you want to build back up, I'm looking that man's way. I'm trying to get back to winning ways. I'm trying to establish a culture. I want to have accountability. I need a system. I need a structure. If I'm one of them teams that it just seems like you can't get out of your own way, Thomas Thibodeau. Thomas Thibodeau, bro.
I mean, I like Charles Lee, but like you said, Charlotte, even Atlanta, like
low key. Like, and yeah, I like Charles Lee too. That's why I always tell people, like, he is doing his best to establish a culture. I'm just saying, you have culture in a box. It's like, and now, yes, culture in a box.
I will say that who's the other team I was thinking about? In terms of other teams, yes. In terms of this team, again, he could have got another year. But like I said, last time we were on Casual Friday, like, what would he have done differently? And if the answer is and the report has come out,
that as Tibbs earning one more shot, like getting one more year.
Okay. If they got, like, if he got one more year, it would have been like, oh man, okay. But at the same time, it's like I saw the argument for it. But again, what would have changed? Like, because the reporting has come out and basically said, like, hey, they kept making these substitutions, these suggestions to Tibbs, and Tibbs was not basically ignoring them. So, like, again, like this idea that they woke up on Saturday morning and they're like, you know what? I'm pissed off. Let's fire the coach. Nah, this had been bubbling for a while. So
right, and if you are going to be that stubborn and that rigid and say it's my way or the highway, well, the highway better lead to a chip. Because otherwise, if you're doing it your way and we not getting the title, and you're not trying to hear nothing, or at least that's how it's being reported, then what are we doing here? And let the minutes reflect. Bouncing the chance has a lot to do with perception of these guys. Had Kawhi's shot rimmed out, are we talking about Nick Nurse as a championship coach? If KD wore a size 14 instead of a size 15, are we talking about Coach Bud winning a title? Mike Malone. These guys were on the hot seats of their orgs before they won titles. It's just been, you need luck to win in the NBA playoffs as much as you need skill. And they were fortunate enough to reach the mountaintop when they did. And then a couple of years later, they were out anyway. Tibbs knows it's the business, and this is the business. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It literally is what it is. And as far as one more shot to coach the Knicks, I was already resigned to the fact that he was coming back next year, which is why the fact that it happened, not the fact that they did it, shocked me. Not the fact that, not the fact that they did it, the fact that it actually happened. Mm-hmm. That's why it shocked me. Because I already thought, I was like, yo, we're going to come back one more year. And we're going to be back here again talking about the same shit. I was already resigned to that. So By default, if he earned one more shot, I think Sean will agree with me. Earned is very loaded. It's very complicated. Because if we're just talking strictly results, yes. If we're talking just in results, if we're like, yo, he made the conference finals, should he get a chance? Yes. But when you add evaluation isn't just zero sum. It's the sum of everything else. So it's complicated, bro.
It is complicated.
All right. That does it. Casual Friday, another one in the bag. Sean, where can the people find you?
You could find me on. Wait, I didn't even put our names up. You can find me on Twitter at SeanFW_.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, we're terrible. You can find me on Twitter at SeanFW_. People have found me on Instagram. I do not follow me on Instagram. That's private. That's for me. So it's not you, it's me. But yeah, I'll be there. We'll probably have study hall this weekend, probably tomorrow, being Saturday, because Sunday is Father's Day, and do not expect anything from me on Sunday. So,
Zero.
where can they find you?
Jeff J says all social media. Jeff J says on YouTube. Gonna be covering the rest of the NBA playoffs. Yes, there are playoffs going on, guys. I'm sorry. There are. There's NBA playoffs. Going to be tapping into some WNBA also. So, we're going to be talking about the Knicks on this platform and others. So definitely tap in there. It's been awesome talking with y'all again. And especially if you live in the New York area, I don't know when this weather's coming back, but it's beautiful out there. Mm-hmm. Enjoy the sun. Even if you don't want to touch grass, touch air. Reach your hand out to the sun and bask in the rays of a beautiful end of spring, early start to summer, because it's beautiful out there. Do not let this Knicks stuff consume you, because these dudes is in the Maldives. They partying in the club. They've already released. Why are you holding on? Enjoy yourself, because it's gonna be all right. And once there is a coaching candidate selected, that's when the real fun is going to begin. So that does it for Casual Friday. That's Jeff. I'm Sean. You are amazing. Thank you for tapping in live chat. Thank you, Replay Gang, for watching once again. Thank you for the audio gang. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you listen to KFS. Thank you for tapping in with us. We got the Patreon. John is writing the newsletter. You want more Knicks coverage? We got it. Join the revolution at Knicks Film School. 30,000 plus and counting. Should add yourself so that you're one more. What's up? You say something before we go?
You said that's Jeff. I'm Sean. No, that's Jeff.
I said
I'm
that.
Sean. Yeah, you did.
Holy shit. Bro, it's Friday, bro. I haven't even look. I'm 100% sober. Ain't nothing going on. I did say that's Jeff. I'm Sean.
Yeah.
Wow. That's hilarious. Well, that is Sean.
I'm Sean.
That's Sean. Jeff. I'm Jeff. You're amazing. Even if I was Sean and that was Jeff, you'd still be amazing. So that at least that works out. All right, man. I'm out of here. Thank y'all so much. We'll talk to you soon. Go Knicks.